Hello and welcome back to the Ultra Films channel. My name is Evan. I'm the producer here today. I'm here to talk to you about Young Justice, Season 4, Episode 14, Nautical Twilight. I want to apologize in advance. My throat's being a little weird this week, so if I start coughing randomly throughout the video, I apologize in advance. But I'm going to be covering the back half of Young Justice Season 4. We've got 3 episodes that I'm putting out this week because the first week of episodes came out and they decided to drop 3 at a time, or at least 3 this first week. Then we should get episode 18 episode 17 just by itself next week. So or I guess technically this week, however you want to look at it. The upcoming week, 1 episode, and then it's just 1 from now, but 3 episodes this week, so a lot to cover. In this first episode, the initial scene is Connor, we know, is in like the Phantom Zone or some sort of intermediate afterlife. I think it has something to do with time travel, or I genuinely don't know what it is, but there's the previous storyline was following these group of heroes from the future, potentially like the Timekeepers or something like that, or members of some organization of that magnitude who are following Connor around trying to prevent his death. And so obviously he's in this in-between zone with one of the other members from that group, and so that's the opening scene of this, is him being lost in this world, which we already knew was the case from I think the previous episode is the first time it showed Connor still being out there. And then we immediately transition into Dick and Calder. It's this top scene right here. They're talking about their responsibilities and how much burden they've had to bury over the last few years that we've seen of Young Justice. There's so much that they've been responsible for, and they've had to be these leaders, these unwavering people for the rest of the team and the Justice League, really. So and then the line I wrote about it is that they get deeper than the ocean about hero life and what it takes. And ironically, I wrote that before the rest of the episode because we spend most of it down underneath the sea, with Aquaman, Calderon, Lagan, Mera, and actually a bunch of new Aquaman, Poseidonus, Atlantis characters. So we get, obviously, we've seen Mera. We have King Orin, who's the Aquaman, who's stepped down as Aquaman. Calderon has taken his place as the official Aquaman for the leader of the Justice League. We have Lagan there. Mera we've already seen. We have King Orim, who's not actually a king, but Ocean Master, who we need to talk about a little bit in the near future. We see Valko for the first time in Young Justice, I'm pretty sure. Oneiden, Garth is there. Calder's obviously there. Lord Ronald, Coral, who's one of the other delegates, I think a version of King Shark or something of King Shark's species is there, and then there's a South representative from the South Sea that's not there, not present. It's where Mera's father rules, and they didn't send somebody, so then down the road they get some figurehead guy to run it, but that's who shows up. Also at the very beginning, Danuth is introduced as well. He's conspiring with Ocean Master in some sort of way to attack. Yeah. Anyways, so then we find out Lagan has a baby on the way. He's in an open relationship with I want to say it's Garth and somebody else. But yeah, so there's a ton going on. They're having these meetings and these delegations to try and solve basically a resource crisis under the sea. So a lot of these delegates have very little resources, and they're struggling to keep their people motivated and from hurting the other different sea nations from fighting. They're trying to prevent all that. However, Poseidonis, the capital of the underground, is where King Orin rules and where Aquaman lives, and the rest of the it's basically like New York City, and then everything else around it is the smaller cities, or just any big old centralized area. Versus I almost look at this situation like Russia, where like all the resources are being put into the capital, but nobody else has anything. So that's what they're trying to avoid. They're trying to spread out the resources, or at least come up with a somewhat of a solution to make it better for everyone. However, those talks don't go super well. The representative that looks like King Shark, or is King Shark, is very unhappy with the way that it's being managed and held, and he's been sending his sharks to go and eat other members and steal land from the other colonies or other groups of people, and he's like actually annexing their land for no reason. But they essentially are having, because of the pollution at like the top of in the real world that like we live in, and how much they're destroying the ocean, the krill that is in their ecosystem is struggling to survive, and there's not enough food for them. So that's why they're like branching out and taking what's not theirs, unrightfully. And so he's upset about that. They end up going to the bar, and it's Wind Tritonus. I think it's Tritonus is again one of the leaders, and her and Wind have some sort of history that I don't forget when Wind was introduced to the Young Justice series, but Wind is a buddy of Calder's, and essentially they have some history, and they're talking about how his past was not great. I don't know. I don't think we've been introduced to them before. I think we have with Wind, but essentially the King Shark comes in and is not happy with Tritonus, or it's how things are going with the discussion so far. So he kind of tries to pick a fight, but Calder just knocks him out. And he's like, you'll regret this, but he wanted the smoke really bad. There's also like Young Justice tends to like jump from story to story and jump around a lot. In between all this, there's like flashes of Connor being locked in whatever realm he is and trying to navigate it. Just the very beginnings of it. It happens through these first 3 episodes where he's trying to get closer to this goal, but he has no idea what that goal is or where he's moving towards. So then, after all this stuff is kind of going down, we get another side story with Violet going to see her parents, or at least Gabrielle's parents, and she got their parents out of Karat, the nation that they lived in. I don't think that's an actual country, but like they got him out of there and over to the United States. She wants to like learn about Islam, so she goes asking Gabrielle's parents, hey, can you teach me about this? I want to know if it holds any value to me. I know that Gabrielle held it in high regard, and I haven't had the nerve to really learn about it till now, which is really cool that they're exploring that and explaining it in a respectful way, because you don't see that very often in shows. I don't think I've seen it in any other shows, to be honest with you. However, it happens here. Essentially, then we cut back to Poseidonis towards the end of the episode, and Ocean Master, who was plotting earlier in the episode to do something, comes and shows up at Poseidonis when they're doing this roundtable discussion and blows it up, and then all of Poseidonis work together to try and fight him, and his Triton is like super powerful, so it starts just wiping the floor with everybody. Even King Orin and Calder can't stand up to him, and they get beat. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, some mysterious man shows up and launches magic lightning at him, and defeats him. And Ocean Master runs away, and this guy disappears in the wake of everybody trying to figure out what just happened. And then this side scene right here is Mera pulling King Orin away to talk about the prophecy that is supposedly coming true. You don't see the prophecy until episode 15, so we'll talk about in the next episode. But the prophecy is like, this prophecy is starting to unfold with the events that just happened in front of them. And so it comes to fruition, and it's really kind of cool how they do it, but we'll talk about that down the road. The thing we do need to talk about right now is the fact that Ocean Master in Young Justice is dead, but he is here in Poseidonus causing real damage. Now, we know this because Lady Shiva, was it Lady Shiva? I want to say Lady Shiva, or it was either Lady Shiva or Talia ended up killing him earlier in season 4, or maybe even in season 3, when they were spying on the kids' party for all the heroes. And he was going to attempt to kill all of these Justice Leaguers' children, and that would have been a horrible, horrible thing. But before he can even pull the trigger and make it all happen, he gets killed right then and there. So he's been dead, which doesn't make sense because he's here. So that'll come up again in the next few episodes, and we'll kind of learn the great thing about Young Justice that we all love is that it doesn't tell you what's going on immediately and makes you have to think ahead, or it reveals like 8 big plot points at once where you're like, oh my gosh. It's pretty dang intricate storytelling. I really love it, and hopefully we see some pretty big like plot twists with this one. And the mystery man that shows up is gonna play a big part in that, I think. So anyways, that's my review breakdown. Easter egg, there's not really a ton of Easter eggs to catch in. I mean, there's actually hundreds of Easter eggs to catch, but they're not even Easter eggs because all of these things get worked into the story at some point. So everything is out. Everything's on the table for Young Justice. They can do anything they really want with this story, and I think they have done. I know a lot of people don't like season 3 and season 4 as much as the original first two seasons, but they still got it, in my opinion. It's been great, and I'll see you guys again, excuse me, in the next episode 15, and I'll put a link in the description, and the code cards will take you to the next episode if you want to go watch it. Anyways, that's all I got for you. Until next time, peace.